When you talk about bumping a player, it's pretty much...
Great courage. One that says the bump is dead, that's how you deliver it.
What is going on, YouTube universe? My name is Trent and welcome to the Hip and Shoulder, where we discuss everything Australian rules football. And ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the week yet again. Prepare yourselves, pull your pants down a little bit, because it is time to get our tips in for another round of AFL action. Round 19 kicks off later tonight and is another round that has some matchups that are going to shift the bearing of not only the top 8, but the top 4 as well, because that door is still wide open for a handful of teams vying for a finals appearance in the 2024 season. Before we dive into our tips for round 19 though, it is time to reflect on round 18, and it was yet again an incredibly poor tipping round from myself. 4 out of 9 seems to be the magic number for the season for myself, because it seems to be my average and where I'm at, and it is the worst tipping season that I have had in years, which isn't the way I really wanted to start off here on this channel, because this is my first kind of footsteps into AFL content creation, bringing my tipping and thought processes into the fold in a different kind of format away from my gaming stuff. And I'm kicking things off by being terribly poor at footy tipping, which probably doesn't bode well with the fact that I'm trying to give my opinions and stuff, and people aren't going to really want to listen to me if I keep tipping poorly. So we need to turn my shit around this week. Round 18 though, in reflection, probably some tips I could have changed myself to have a better turnaround, especially given the risks I took. And that's probably what happens when you take risks. You're probably going to fall on your face and look like a fucking idiot like I did. We tipped Collingwood to take out Geelong by 10 points on Friday night, and they fell by 20. We took Fremantle to defeat Hawthorn. After originally locking Hawthorn in and then shifting our tip, I should not have talked myself out of that. Sydney defeated North Melbourne as we predicted. We took Carlton to beat the Bulldogs, and Adam Treloar was a late out, which I thought would solidify this tip. Boy, was I rudely mistaken. If Charlie Curnow knew how to kick straight, maybe we'd be having a different conversation right now. Adelaide stuck tough and defeated St Kilda in a very scrappy contest. Essendon failed to fall over the line against Melbourne without Max Gawn. The Gold Coast remained undefeated at People's First. Richmond, we probably shouldn't have tipped them anyway. It was probably just more of a heartfelt move from myself, thinking we could get the job done. We were very competitive. I loved what I saw, but I still got the tip wrong. And Brisbane managed to hold off a fast finishing West Coast outfit to land me 4 out of 9. With that being said, there was one solo individual this week that managed to tip 8 out of 9. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why, but Mikey is a rat, has managed to get the job done. Smell the cheese, sir. It is going to be fantastic. There'll be plenty of dog treats waiting for you to celebrate this victory. I can assure you of that. Plenty of other people. 7 out of 9s and 6 out of 9s too. So I actually tipped the second worst amount this weekend. Yeah, let's not talk about it. Shifting attention though to the total tips and the leaderboard heading into round 19. The 8 out of 9 for Mikey is a rat actually has him now equal first, with Dusty Fendoff 4 and Dan Cash all sitting with 103 tips total. 4th and 5th place respectively are tied on 101 tips between Some Cripple and Frio 90. Team Wiggles sitting in 6th place with 100 tips. Then we have Saintly 12 in 7th place with 99 tips. Madge Tiggs and Matt Lamb on 8th and 9th place respectively with 98 tips. And Benny Craig rounds out the top 10 with 96 tips. Congratulations to Mikey as a rat, Dusty Fendoff 4 and Dan Cash heading in as leaders for this round. Congratulations to our top 10. Thank you to everybody who is competing. And looking at myself, I'm currently sitting in 20th place, 91 tips. I am 5 tips behind top 10. I'm starting to slowly realise my top 10 finish and climb back up the ladder is looking very unlikely. Could this week we see something happen to maybe make up at least a tip or two? I don't know. Let's find out. Because as I said, we've got some very tasty matchups coming into this particular round. The first of which kicks off tonight at Marvel Stadium with Essendon hosting Adelaide. Now, there is a little superstitious thing going on between me and some of my mates when it comes to tips, and I think it's Sportsbet that do it, but they give you better odds for a particular team winning, and every time they have done that this year, bar once, the team that they offer the better odds for ends up losing. With that being said, they are offering better odds for Essendon to defeat Adelaide, so going off of that logic, Adelaide should win tonight at Marvel Stadium. Now, I've had a look at the ins and outs for this game. There is no Taylor Walker for Adelaide Crows. Essendon, I believe, going in with no Peter Wright, no Dyson Heppel, but they've brought back in Todd Goldstein. They've got a couple of other players coming in as well. I don't see how Adelaide come to Melbourne and upset Essendon here. I think Essendon do win this game, and I'm going to go Essendon by the way of 17 points. It's a must-win game for Essendon to keep in touch with the top 4. But as I said, if you're a superstitious type, I feel maybe my mate Damien might be tipping Adelaide here because of that superstitious tip. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I'm going Essendon for mine. At NG Stadium, GWS taking on the Gold Coast Suns. After seeing the way they have played the last couple of weeks against Carlton and then against Richmond, I don't see how Gold Coast find a win here. We know Gold Coast are currently 0-7 away from people's first, and with GWS finding momentum, I don't think the Gold Coast Suns are going to be the team to knock them off their perch. We're back at Marvel Stadium on Saturday afternoon with St Kilda hosting the West Coast Eagles, and I'm going to tip St Kilda. Only reason being, West Coast are going to be without Liam Duggan, Jake Waterman, Elliot Yeo, and I think those 3 have been pivotal to West Coast's success this year, and that leaves some gaps that I feel are very hard to fill, especially the roles that Liam Duggan and Elliot Yeo play. And I don't think we can understate the impact that Jake Waterman has had for that forward 50 for the West Coast Eagles. I don't know whether Oscar Allen's going to be able to lift up that slack on his own, but St Kilda should win this one. That being said, West Coast are probably going to rock up and absolutely smack them. That's knowing my fucking luck. At the MCG, Hawthorn taking on Collingwood. It's a 50-50 split. This is actually the first time in a long time where these two teams have gone head-to-head, and I have struggled to decide which way the ball is going to fall. This is a very much a do-or-die situation for both teams. I feel the loser falls out of touch of the top 8, and the winner stays well and truly in the hunt. I just don't know where the battle's going to be won and lost. I really don't know about this game. I'm going to go Collingwood now, just off of a gut feeling. I'm going to reassess, having a look at the ins and outs for this game. I don't think there was many either side of the ball for this. Dan McStay does come back in for Collingwood, so it gives them a forward target up in their 50, which is where they've been struggling quite a lot. So maybe I'm putting more faith in McStay than I should be, but I think given the fact that they're bringing in a key forward that could have a little bit of damage, I'm going to go with Collingwood. Hopefully. I could shift, but we're going with Collingwood now. GMHBA Stadium, Saturday night, Geelong taking on the Western Bulldogs. I don't see how the Bulldogs go down to GMHBA and knock off Geelong. Geelong have been far too superior at GMHBA. They're starting to click. They're starting to get back into that form that we saw them run with at the start of the year, and they're going to look to solidify a top 4 finish. At the same time, Saturday night, they really need to stop double booking this shit, but Port Adelaide are taking on Richmond at Adelaide Oval, and as much as I know Richmond have had the better of Port Adelaide going down to Adelaide in recent years, I got to go Port Adelaide. It's going to be hard to tip Richmond this week. Tim Taranto out with concussion. Nick Floston has a back issue, so he's out injured. Jack Graham out injured. Dustin Martin, he's gone to New Zealand to go spend some time with his family, so he's not been named. It's been a tough year for the Tigers. With the injuries we've got coming out of last week into this week, Daniel Rioli is the only AFL listed player for Richmond that has played every single game this year. That is fucking... I don't understand where the drop-off has happened with Richmond and their injuries this year. All I ask for as a Richmond supporter is the same fight and effort that we saw out of them last week against GWS at home. If they can give us that fight, I will come out of this game incredibly happy, win, lose or draw. Sunday afternoon, the first of 3, we have Brisbane taking on Sydney up at the Gabba. This apparently, surprisingly as well, is the first time these clubs are facing each other, both within the top 4, for the first time in a century. 100 years of AFL football. These two teams have never gone head-to-head being within the top 4 at the exact same time. Absolutely incredible. Both teams have a lot to gain. Both teams have a lot to lose. The head-to-head battle in this midfield is going to be fucking insane. I, again, don't know where we're going to fall. Both have strengths up forward. Both have solid defenses. The midfield battle, I would probably give the edge slightly to Sydney. Home ground advantage falls at the Gabba. I'm going to go Brisbane. I'm going to go Brisbane right now. Once the extended teams are released and I know for sure who is returning for Sydney, I will make my decision based off of that. But if we can have a lineup with Sydney that sees Heaney come back in, with Parker keep his spot, I could very well change my tip to Sydney. Optus Stadium, Fremantle taking on Melbourne. We're going with Fremantle. They're without Max Gawn again this week. No Christian Petrarca. On the road, we know Melbourne have struggled in recent years. Fremantle have been finding their footing at Optus Stadium. They're pushing for a top 4 finish this year, Fremantle, and I think they can very well get there, and they're going to push their case by getting a very convincing win over Melbourne over in the West. And we round things out at Marvel Stadium with Carlton taking on North Melbourne. And the 99% versus 1%, I think, speaks volumes, because that's probably where we're at. I think this is going to be a win where Carlton not only need to win, but this needs to be a percentage boosting win, especially with so many teams finishing around the same mark with points on the ladder. They want to make sure they get every advantage they can, and they need to take advantage of playing bottom of the table teams. Those are my tips for the week. Essendon, GWS, St Kilda, Collingwood, Geelong, Port Adelaide, Brisbane, Fremantle, and Carlton could potentially swap to Hawthorn, could potentially swap to Sydney. And if I'm feeling very frisky and upset without 3 of their best players, an upset with West Coast defeating St Kilda down at home would be huge, especially given the lackluster football that we've seen St Kilda dishing up. I mean, Richmond's been getting beaten, don't get me wrong, but we've been getting beaten and still kicking better scores than St Kilda, and we don't have a functioning forward line. So that speaks volumes. That speaks volumes. That is it for another round of tipping. Do hope you guys have appreciated it despite my inadequacies and my inaccuracies. Yeah, we're not having a good year, but I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. I love the fact that I've taken the leap of faith to put this channel together. While I'm only currently facing on the tipping videos and the podcast videos, I do have plenty of ideas moving forward for more AFL content. So again, as I've posed in the previous podcast episodes I've dropped, do let me know in the comment section down below if there is any particular content you would like to see me generate, whether we look at doing videos based on individual teams and their performances. We do a mock draft, which I'm thinking of doing. We can do trade period and draft period podcasts. We can do like tier lists and rank players and rank teams and all that kind of stuff. We can deep dive. We can have some fun. So let me know if that is something you would like to do. On screen, if it hasn't already been up there, I've probably thrown another multi up. Thank you again to Mikey as a rat, Damien K, for providing the goods for us. I might very well start posting those into the comment section as well, just in case they don't appear large enough for you guys at home that are interested in kind of having a read through them and trying to take them on board. I'm still trying to find my footing with that kind of stuff, so I do appreciate the feedback when it comes back to what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here. Good luck to your teams this weekend, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.